everybody, welcome back for another video. Pepperballs, what's not to like? I mean, I've talked about these before and I talk about them in a very positive way sometimes, and I really do believe that the chemical in these is very potent and it can work. But I also talk about delusion and thinking, well, how that one pepperball delivered in the right place is going to solve all of your issues and going to stop someone just because you land it in a way that it's going to break and that person is going to be exposed. I want to talk a little bit about the idea behind pepperballs and why I like them a lot, but also I think there's some mythology about this that is just not factually based scientifically, and I'm not going to go into great detail, but I do want to make a point here. I still love pepperballs in general. The concept, delivering these from a hopper or a large mag in a capacity, and it has its used in a riot control situation. When you're delivering these to the ground and you're creating a cloud around people that might be coming your way. Now, if you're in your home and there was some situation going on and you're trying to defend your home, having a launcher with a big bottle of pepperballs is a great non-lethal way to try to get people away. If maybe you live in the city or you have a business, these are great options for using a pepperball launcher. These things are stable. The capsaicin in these last about 3 years, and I don't know. I've never done a test after different time points, but it's really a fairly good option. They're not cheap. These pepperballs, each pepperball is not inexpensive, so that's certainly a consideration. But the chemical and kinetic effect of a pepperball is what's really attracted to me. Is that if you land this, you're gonna provide that chemical hit, that kinetic hit on the body, and the problem that I've always had though is if you land this in soft, spongy places or there's a big coat, these are just going to bounce off. I've shot these against cardboard boxes. They'll either go through the cardboard box or they'll bounce back, depending on how much power you're using. If you're delivering 15, 20 joules, it may not be enough to break them. There are better pepperballs that will work in the Grimberg gavel that take a lot more force to break. There's pros and cons of that. The harder you have to shoot them to break them, well, you'll get a better cloud. That's good. They're less likely. They're probably more durable. They're less likely to break in the mag on you. But we often think, well, chemical plus kinetic, and I always say sometimes that's synergistic. As I've researched this a little bit and thought about it more, I don't believe that that's necessarily true. There are these nocioreceptors that are the pain receptors that get stimulated by heat, by kinetic force or injury, by chemicals. These are the pain signals that go to your brain, and your brain is going to sense one signal. These signals all converge on a common signaling pathway, and so if you hit someone and you create a kinetic hit, and then there's a secondary chemical hit that they get into their eyes and nose and face, yes, you will have two effects. But what will happen is that initial pain from the kinetic hit will be quickly overcome by all of the chemical effects that they're going to be dealing with. And so they're really going to, any subsequent shots that you have on a person that's already been chemically exposed, they're not going to care. There are pain relieving effects of capsaicin. Once it gets in your system, yes, it's making your eyes burn and your face and anywhere else that you breathe it in. Those places are going to be burning. Your eyes are going to close. You're going to have those kind of issues if you get enough dose from a couple shots. But subsequent shots that would be chemical rounds, if you're doing like a pepper round first and then you want to follow it with chemical rounds, those chemical rounds, the person is not going to really pay those any attention because their brain is going to be so focused on those chemical pain signals and what they're dealing with. Everything else is just overload. The brain can't handle it. It's not going to be effective. Those pathways are already activated. Maybe you'll get a little bit more of an effect, but it won't even be additive. It'll just be a small incremental effect. So the idea of getting a synergistic response with these is a bit of a myth, and I just want people to be clear about that. And the idea of stacking these with kinetic rounds is not necessarily providing greater value to someone. But I completely understand why people like the logic of doing that. If a person's eyes are closed, regardless of whether your additional kinetic hits are providing stopping power, that alone may be enough for you to get away without having to do subsequent kinetic hits. And the risk with kinetic hits is obviously also you could create permanent injury. Even with these, if you hit it in the eye, you could take someone's eye out, create permanent injury, and permanent injury usually comes along with more serious legal consequences if you were in the wrong. Now, if you're mindful and you've thought these scenarios through and you use these in a way that is just perfection, then legally you'll be fine. But you have to be careful anytime you're firing a projectile at someone. The final point I want to make is that the only way that you can overcome that, and you might be able to overcome that with something like the Grimberg rounds, where they have a harder shell and they can tolerate higher joules. In that case, once you get to a significant amount of joules, 30 joules, 40 joules, the chances of you actually creating enough injury, deep tissue injury, or breaking a bone or serious incapacitating injury is great. And in that case, then there might be a synergy if you've actually injured someone. If you got them in the knee and they go down and they're done. So there is value to the Pepperball and the chemical kinetic, but I believe that at the lower end, when you're using those 7, 10, 15, even up to 20 joule launchers, I think you probably need to target the upper chest and then if that's not working, move right up to the face and hope that you land at least one of these in the face. And then I think you're most likely going to stop someone. But if you're I would not rely on injury at those doses. You're truly using it in a true less lethal manner, and that's a very safe way to go for a lot of situations. But if you're up in the 20 plus 30, 40 joule range, the chances of injury are higher. That can be to your advantage when it comes to your self-defense and your ability to stop someone. I think that also has a lot of merit, and that will potentially overcome the signaling defects that you're creating when one chemical signal overrides a physical pain signal. Your body can only, I think everybody probably has a general understanding about that. If you have a general pain, for example, you have some pain, you can put on ice, and the ice initially will be very, can be painful, but it'll also then start to numb the pain from something else. I think it's also quite intuitive when you think about it, how you have two different pain signals from two different locations in your body. One of them will override the other and distract your mind from the other, and you can then you tolerate more. And I can't think of great specific examples, but the Pepperball is a dichotomous type of device. You got the chemical and kinetic, and you got it's just really an interesting yin and yang that you have with this, and that's sort of even what the Pepperball looks like. It's just really something that I haven't given up on Pepperballs, so I mention sometimes just don't over rely on a Pepperball. Think that this is the end all and be all of your less lethal defense, and that if you're packing 5 Pepperballs, you're good to go. Just be more realistic than that, but I really like these in general, and I think they're definitely worth discussing and thinking about how we can use them better, what applications are best for them, and maybe having a dedicated Pepperball launcher that is separate from your dedicated kinetic launcher. We can't carry everything, but we can have things within reach and around, and we can carry what we need for a specific situation that we might be going to, where we think it might work best for us. But I'm going to stop there, and I'm happy to take questions, and I look forward to your input about Pepperballs. We'll see you everybody again in the next one.